It's a pleasure for me to welcome all of you on behalf of the academic staff, of the administrative staff, and the technical staff. That's a pleasure for us to welcome you at CIT. As you know, CIT is an academic institution and focuses on three components. The first component is teaching. The second one is research, development, and creativity, RDC. And the third one is community services. So today we are concerned with RDC, but also with community services. Professors are asked to provide activities in terms of RDC, but also to be helpful for the community outside, scientific community, and for the society also. To do so, you need to do research, development. We try to develop autonomy in qualities or attributes requested by the accreditation body is lifelong learning. Means that you can learn by yourself all your life. And the university should teach the student how to be autonomous in terms of learning alone. For business administration, the same. Lifelong learning as a component that should be developed in the student. And today we are happy to promote two of Prof.Petraq's recent books. The two books are Software Engineering Techniques Applied to Agricultural Systems and Modeling and Processing for Next Generation Big Data Technologies. So again, I welcome you and congratulate Professor Petraq for this nice, outstanding work. So please profit from this day.
Today I have the privilege to discuss two books Professor Papajorgji has published. Both are internationally published, they are taught internationally as well, and very important works. The books are complementary in topics, and yet they serve to each other. So it's a roadmap which goes from the principles and basic concepts to the more advanced and nowadays topics. So, more to dig deeper, the first book, let's discuss the first book, Software Engineering Techniques Applied to Agriculture. The role of information technology in the company, in our life, has expanded to overtake almost every aspect. By doing so, the complexity of problems has increased. This has created a gap in the skills that are necessary to leverage larger systems and more complex systems to an enterprise level, or to thousands or millions of users. On the other side, focusing on pop technology, or technology which is modern at the time when we are studying the topic, has an expiry date because technologies has a tendency to have a much shorter life expectancy than what they used to have. On the contrary, focusing on models and concepts, on patterns and best practices, results much better at enduring the challenge of time and at serving a professional longer in his career and life path. This is precisely what the first book of Professor Papajorgji is based on. It's based on principles, patterns, which are applied in real life and are timeless because are at the core of the principles which are not changing now for more than a decade. The book applies this concept in agriculture, but it's not only limited to agriculture. It serves to everyone with an ambition to understand and to grow in the area of information technology, so he can apply these skills in designing systems, in implementing systems, and in serving society in general. So the first book, has two parts. The first part is precisely what I was explaining, so it's focused on tools and concepts and best practices like unified modeling language, paradigms, like object-oriented paradigm compared to other paradigms, model view control pattern, model-based systems, metadata-based systems. So far I have not discussed specific technologies because these concepts apply across all the technologies and are relevant. A paradigm shift, according to Thomas Kahn in his influential book, The Structure of Scientific Revolution, is a change in the basic assumptions or paradigms. Information technology, like I think more than every other field of science, have undergone paradigm shifts in the last decade. In part 1 are addressed some of the most important paradigm shifts of the last decade, like UML, for example, object-oriented paradigm, important patterns. All the concepts are explained in a methodical step-by-step approach using annotations in a unified modeling language. In the first 6 chapters, for example, you have explained the object-oriented paradigm, and the reader gets a full set of techniques in using the UML, Unified Modeling Language, which I think is a critical and key skill for every professional to have a helpful career in nowadays. In chapter 7, Christopher Wolfgang, which is a renewed architect from Austria, describes the patterns as a problem that occurs over and over again in our environment, and then describes the core to its solution in a way that you can repeat it 1,000 times over without producing the same work again. This is precisely what chapter 7 is about. I believe it's a rather weak as a word, I believe that patterns are one of the best investments a professional can do. Because unlike technology, as I stated above, they are the same and they are much better and enduring the time. And they are building blocks, they are communication mechanisms, and they help you build systems faster with predictable results, which in our job, so our day-to-day activities, predictable results are becoming one of the key factors of a successful system. In chapter 9, the book moves forward to introduce, which is an addition compared to the previous edition, which is the object-constrained language. The object-constrained language is a nice addition which is developed by IBM on top of the unified modeling language. It makes clear the expression of constraints and helps and adds to the set of tools a system designer uses to communicate his ideas with developers, with business, and with all the stakeholders involved in the process. I would like to spend a little more time in the last chapter, which is about model-driven approach. As programming languages evolved from the first generation to the third generation, the main objective of this evolution was to make easier the communication between all the stakeholders included. Starting from business, designers, developers, and then again back to business. Yet the process has a lot of fences in between. I see it in my day-to-day work. We experience that requirements are misunderstood or are implemented in wrong or not like the business wanted. And this is precisely of the constraints of software development language adds in the process. And by adding people, you have the risk of misunderstanding and you have the risk that the things you deliver will not be what the customer requires. A model-driven approach, which is becoming popular day by day in the information technology area, is the fourth generation or the last evolution in the way we humans interact with the machines. And what it does, above all, it brings the business in the game. So domain-specific languages and model-driven applications are processes that include business with the designer and the developer, making together all this set of tools and techniques and concepts and patterns and best practices to facilitate the road of any professional with ambition to grow in the area of information technology and particularly in system design. The second part of the book is related to the application of of the concept treated in the first part in agriculture. Here the reader can challenge and can see in real life application the concepts explained above. The book treats the cropping forecasting, many algorithms which I will not treat in details. And it's very interesting, especially in an area which I believe has one of the largest gaps compared to other industries in relation to the information technology. So this summarizes my understanding of the first book. In the second book, it's a collection of works on big data. As it looks, big data will be the name, or let's say, I was reading an interesting research publication from our center, so our center of 2014 trends, and they say the new big thing is big. So big is the new big thing. Sorry for my English. Meaning that big data most probably will set the trend in businesses and companies. Successful companies like Google, like Amazon are using data to make real-time decisions. Big data is used now integrated in all the company, in all the company processes. We in Albania lack in this area. I can tell you from my experience in Albania, in Raiffeisen, we sit on top of a mountain of data and we make very little benefit out of it. So this is still an area to come. So nothing, not to take more time from you. So it was a pleasure, and I think
IT stated, we are trying to build a quality institution, and all together I think we will move forward and achieve some success, the success we are looking so long for. I just wanted to say a few words about this book. It's the second edition. The first edition was published in 2005. And when I started writing this book, more than 20 times I decided to forget it because it looked to me almost impossible to finish this book. But by persisting and being stubborn, I think I learned quite a bit by suffering for almost 2 years to publish this book. But it was a great experience at the very end to see that you achieved something that is very interesting. Well, the second book after was a lot easier. As they say, the millionaires, the first million is very hard to make it. I don't have an experience making millions, but I can tell you about books. The first book was quite very difficult to do it, but the others are a lot easier because you go through so many difficulties. And if you achieve success after struggling so much, and I can assure you that it was not easy at all, the rest is much easier to do. So for young people that would like to start this path, don't give up, just keep going and you will succeed. One more time, thank you very much for coming, and let's have a drink and enjoy the party together. Thank you for coming.
Dhe mirë, po I them unë asaj në
Sa të marrim akreditimin do përgjithësojmë. Faleminderit, mirëpafshim.
mirëpafshim. Natës.
Ti do ish me gruan. Mirëpafshim. Faleminderit.
Activities, and we develop products at CAT. For example, our team developed an academic record management system.
Botimet të tilla kaq specifike, në pamjen parë duken sikur janë të fushës shkencore dhe I përkasin një grupi të vogël akademikësh. Por në fakt, këto dy botime të tuaja përfshin edhe fushat e sipërmarrjes. Si mundet ekonomia përmarrëse shqiptar të afrojnë në cilat fusha?
Në fakt është një trend mjaft I përdorur në botë sot që shkenca duhet I paraprij prodhimit. Dhe nuk ka gjë më të mirë se sa kur problemet që shtrohen për zgjidhje të vinë nga fusha e praktikës. Në të dy botimet e fundit që kam bërë, pikërisht unë mundohem të zgjidh këto probleme, të paraqis teknologjinë dhe mënyrën se si duhen qasur këto probleme për të pasur një zgjidhje sa më të mirë dhe sa më të shpejtë. Veçanërisht problemi I modelimit sistemet informacionit është bërë një problem mjaft I mpret, për arsye sepse në historinë e industrisë së softwareit vihet re shpesh që harxhohen fonde të mëdha me qindra miliona dollar për projekte të rëndësishme dhe të cilat shpesh herë nuk rezultojnë të suksesshëm për arsye të ndryshme. Një nga arsyet më serioze për dështimin e këtyre projekteve është fakti që nuk paraprihen nga një model I biznesit për të cilin do të aplikohet. Dhe edhe ne dhe fokusi që kemi këtu në Institutin Kanadez të Teknologjisë është që t'i mësojmë studentët të konceptojnë ndërtimin e një modeli të biznesit dhe më pas ky model të përkthehet në një sistem software. Në përgjithësi, në qoftë se paraprihet ndërtimi I një sistemi të informacionit me një model biznesi, atëherë sa herë që do ndryshojë modeli biznesit, do të bëhen ndryshimet përkatëse në sistemin e informacionit. Dhe mendoj që kjo është një gjë mjaft e rëndësishme. Për fat keq, në vendin tonë jo gjithmonë projektet fillohen duke filluar me një studim të plotë të modelit të biznesit, nxitohen të shkojnë të përqendrohen në ndërtimin e softwareit pa pasur të qartë mirë cilët do jenë aktorët e problemit, cilët si janë lidhjet konceptuale midis elementëve të ndryshëm të problemit. Edhe kjo shpeshherë çon atë që sistemet e ndërtuara mos jenë funksional.
U deshte se ora këtu anglisht do deshte të shifronin.
Ta dëgjojnë komplet fjalën e profesorit dhe pastaj kapim vetë ato.
Tash e din vetë ato nalt mo.
Ta keni në shumë.
Vilma, faleminderit, natë e mirë, mirëpafshim. Faleminderit, mirëpafshim.
Journal at CIT, I think Petashi can show them the scientific journal. We also offer conferences and organize conferences.